Hello, everyone. Welcome to another scene for Werewolf the Apocalypse, Sept of Forgotten Stories. This is set in Dublin, Ireland, but that's not where we will begin our scene tonight. We are going over to England. It's an urban area. They don't live on Sept. They live in a suburb of London. Or Kyril has lived most of his life, so he probably has a British accent, which is great. And it has been a trying time for the last few months for Kyril Sobal and his mother Sasha, as they have lost her husband, his father. And we will just pick up with them and whatever you don't have to butcher an English accent, it's fine. Pick up with them and whatever they're doing. We'll just start with Kyril.
So, Kai being Kai and dealing with all the sorts of stuff that he's been going through, he just is been kind of holding himself in his room. Occasionally, Sasha will hear him bounce a ball off a wall. Like, bounce, bounce, bounce.
That's fantastic. So, with that happening, here, actually, I'll just do hers real quick so everybody can see all of her stuff. Okay. She will knock on the door of Kai's room.
It's not
poke
long.
Her head in.
And he kind of looks over there.
She'll poke her head in. What do you want for dinner?
Whatever's fine.
I'll look in the freezer, see what we have. Can you please stop bouncing that ball?
He, grabs onto a ball and just sets it down. And he flips over into the bed, laying down staring at the wall.
Thank you.
No problem.
And she just closes his door, goes to the kitchen, leans against the counter, probably going to have herself a nice cry like she usually does. She doesn't know what to do for him, for her, for either of them, really. And she happens to glance at the calendar on the wall. She goes over to it. She pulls her phone. And she calls her daughter.
Lana will answer. Hey, Mommy.
Hey. It's been a while.
Yeah, trust me, I know.
What are you up to?
We are on a break in our tour. We're in Dublin, actually.
That's actually not that far away. Can you... And your brother too if he wants to come.
You know where I go, he goes.
Of course. I'll be honest, I'm not doing very well. And
You need to get out of that house.
she swallows a bit. I can't leave this house.
Staying there is not good for you.
Well, maybe you can at least come and take your brother. He's not doing any better than me.
Come with us, just for a while.
I'll think about it.
Be there in a little bit.
Okay. Love you.
Love you too.
She hangs up the phone.
And she will gather up Artem, and they will make their way to their mother's house.
Are they taking a moon bridge?
Oh yeah,
I figured.
it's quicker. And it's not on a sheep, but he does have gnosis, so.
Mm-hmm. So Sasha goes back to Kyrill's room and she knocks on the door again.
Come in.
She goes in and sits down on the bed.
He's still kind of staring at the wall. He knows that she's there, though.
Look, I know the last few months have sucked for both of us. I think maybe a change of scenery might do some good. I just talked to your sister, and she and Artem are on a break from touring. So they're going to come visit, and if you want, maybe you can go stay with them for a while. She wants me to go too, but she kind of bites her lip and shakes her head. He can tell that it's hard for her to leave.
He slowly sits up, and he looks at his mom.
She looks at him.
It's like he's trying to find the words to say. His eyes are kind of like slowly darting back and forth, and his lips slowly move several times.
She takes his hand.
He tears up a bit. Mom, I don't want you to be alone either. I'm sorry. And his shoulders start shaking. And he squeezes onto her hand.
She pulls him in for a hug.
He whimpers a bit.
I'm sorry. I know I haven't really been here.
It sounds terrible. Sometimes I feel like you're the only family I have, and I know that you're my brother and sister, but if I go away now, I feel like you're just sending me away, and
That's not what I'm. She shakes her head. I wouldn't send you away. If you want me to come, I'll go for a while.
yeah, you would, Mom?
Yeah.
He presses up against her and hugs her a little bit tighter, softly sniffling.
She sniffles too, wiping tears and holding him tightly.
He's just quietly holding her. He doesn't have any words. He can't even think of what to say. His mind is filled with so many different things, and it's like his shoulders are shaking not just from being sad. It's like he's just hurting so much, and he's not saying why.
She pulls back and looks him in the face, in the eyes. When they get here, I'll tell all three of you about my side of the family.
His brows furrow. But and he just nods, just
I
really
know.
slowly.
I know. I've never spoken about them. But what you just said about feeling alone, I know that that's partially my fault for keeping you isolated. I shouldn't have.
I still go out. I dance on the street. You know
I know, which, there's times I watch you.
that. You do. A soft smile spreads on his lips.
I do. You are a very good dancer.
I don't know about that, but I try.
Come on, I know that they probably have taken a moon bridge, so they will be here any minute.
Uh, Need help starting dinner?
We can go out.
Okay. He gets up and helps his mom up. Walks with her to the living room. I bet Artem and Svetlana are already there.
Yep, they are probably sitting in the living room.
He does a small little wave.
Which Lana gets up and comes over and hugs their mother.
Yeah, Kai actually, when she comes up, he steps back so she can hug their mom. He doesn't like motion to give her a hug or anything. He just steps back and then like does this kind of like head bowing, like shoulder, like he's like slinking behind his mom.
That she will indeed give him a hug, though.
It's a little awkward for him, like his shoulders are stiff and he kind of does this slight pat on her back.
Our Tim kind of hangs back a little bit.
Sasha will hug Lana very tightly. And she'll whisper in her ear, I'm gonna go with you.
That causes her to smile. Good, because I wasn't about to leave you sitting here in Hirano.
I'm not in Hirano.
Bullshit.
Kai's just kind of looking between them as they talk. You can't really hear what they're saying because they're whispering to each other, but he chews his lip. In a way, just because his mind is always like that, he feels like they're talking about him.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's fair. Absolutely. She just like is like whatever. In denial about being in Hirano. Because she's not in Hirano. She's a big, strong Arun. She can't be in Hirano.
And her Galliard daughter is like, bullshit.
Bullshit. Yeah, exactly. And then she looks at Artem.
He has even more tattoos now than when she saw him last.
Inside, she's like, why am I not fucking surprised? God damn it. She goes over to him. Do I get a hug?
He nods and gives her a big hug. I was just waiting on Lana to be done.
Nah, you don't have to wait on her. Not in this house.
I don't take it.
She gives him a big hug. Looks at his new tattoos. Shakes her head a bit. Not in like disgust or anything, just more of a like, of course.
Kai is just awkwardly kind of watching them. Kind of like when you see two strangers like go into your house, but it's funny because they're his family.
Right.
So he's just kind of like a wallflower right now, just kind of watching everybody.
I know it's been a while since everybody's seen each other. And hopefully we'll be able to get to know each other as a family again. And speaking of family, Everybody sit down. I have some things to tell you.
Kai sits down. Not next to Artem and Svetlana, but close because mom's telling them something. He kind of glances over at his brother and sister and gives them a small smile.
Well, Lana smiles, but Artem has, eternal fucking resting bitch face. So
Right? Well,
he just gives a nod.
We got the nice, the gloomy, and the bitch face.
Right? Hang on.
Okay.
Okay. Sasha looks at them and she says, I know that I've not been very forthcoming about um, my side of the family. And I think that I should tell you about them. And I've realized that it probably wasn't my place to make decisions for you about staying away from them. It was my choice that I put on you.
Kai kind of leans in and offers his hand to his mom.
She swallows and she takes his hand.
No,
She knows that as soon as she says who the family is, that Lana is going to recognize the name.
So Artem.
So
he
Artem.
softly smiles at his mom and he's like, when we're babies, we can't really make decisions, so.
No, but I could have told you as you got older. Instead of just not saying anything.
Or telling us they weren't worth knowing.
What'd they say?
Or telling us they weren't worth knowing.
She takes a breath and nods. Yeah. I shouldn't have said that either. When you two were young, I was still. She shakes her head.
Kai hasn't really ever heard much about whenever his brother and sister were young, so he just kind of looks over at them.
Sorry, what was that?
He just kind of looked over at his brother and sister because he hasn't heard really much about them either, because they don't really talk either.
Lana just kind of nods. She knows, she understands why her mom didn't want to talk about her family. She gets it. Sometimes family can suck.
And not in the good way.
Exactly. Not in a good way.
She knows that Lana and Artem will know who she's talking about as soon as she says the name, but she looks to them and she says, "My brother is Tolia Petrova."
Lana's face just goes pale. Paler than usual.
Kai kind of looks over at Lana and blinks. Are you okay?
Tolia Petrova is a legendary Shadow Lord Galliard in the nation.
He blinks slowly and looks over at his mom. His brows furrow even more.
But
so my uncle is one of the greatest Galliards ever known, and I've never got a chance to meet him.
She nods. But there's a lot of things that goes on in his family that I didn't subscribe to and didn't care to have my family around. So I didn't.
She nods.
But I should not have kept you from them. I should have let you make your own decisions. So, for that, I deeply apologize. I was wrong.
Artem knows the rumors about the Petrovas, and he suddenly feels kind of vindicated.
God damn it, Artem.
Kai just kind of slowly runs his hand in the back of his neck, like his own neck. Not Artem's, that would be weird. No. He's just kind of lost in thought. What are they like? Do they and he just kind of takes in a soft breath, and his eyes kind of dart back and forth. And then he just kind of shakes his head no, like he can't say what he's thinking about saying.
Sasha furrows her brow. What, honey?
It's nothing.
She squeezes his hand. It's not nothing. You can tell me. You can ask. It's okay.
Oh. And he takes in a long breath, and he's kind of shaking a little bit. Do um none of them are uh they don't um see things, do they?
What do you mean?
He he's like really like his palms are getting sweaty, and he starts rubbing them on his pants.
She wraps her arm around him. What are you
Uh,
seeing? Tell me.
and he kind of looks at her, like she can see something that she hasn't really noticed in him, but he's terrified.
That causes her to very much furrow her brow in concern, and her and then her eyes widen a bit, and she kind of takes his face in her hands. What's wrong? Why are you afraid?
I know that there are spirits and things, and like they exist and stuff because you told me, and but do they like see them? Like like monsters?
Sasha, what kind of monsters?
Uh, I don't know. They people with mouths too large for the bodies, like bloody, gruesome teeth, and spindly, contorting bodies that eerily, like, just stare and whisper.
Lana kind of looks over. Could he be? This sounds odd, but could he be seeing what the Fae see?
Sasha nods. That's what I was thinking.
He blinks and looks between both of them. Okay.
Fairies, changelings.
Well, I mean, I've read children's books.
They
You
very
didn't think
much.
we were the only supernatural creature, did you?
I don't know. No one ever tells me anything.
Oh, they very much exist, and we have Fey blood in our line. Your grandmother, my mother. She's what you described as the ones that whisper and look kind of lanky and unnatural.
He blinks slowly.
They're called Slua.
Slowly. So,
How long have you been seeing this?
ever since Dad died.
She nods. Well, that makes sense. But you don't. Other Fae didn't come for you, so I'm assuming that means you're not actually one, just probably because of the blood. You know, like Artem has Gnosis, but he's not Garu. You have Gnosis too, though. You got both. Sure, brows kind of raised like, fuck.
He just kind of like looks down. Like in his head, he's like, just because I have it doesn't mean anything. Like he's constantly telling himself all these different things. Like, well, Artem's a singer. Artem's got this. Artem's got that. This
He's
doesn't mean
actually a
anything.
guitarist.
I know. Well, yeah, he's a guitarist, but anyway, he's a musician and famous, and I'm just me. Like, just because I have something doesn't mean anything. That's what's going on in his mind.
Oh, trust me, Artem's doing the same thing in his head right now. But yeah, he's kind of looking at the ground.
She smiles to Kai and takes his hand. That just means that you're extra special. You can see and do things none others can't. You can probably even see and do things that some Garu or even changelings can't because you have double advantage. Just have to learn how to use it. Believe me, you don't want some of the things that come with being a complete Garu or even a changeling. Being where you are is not a bad thing.
A lot of nods because that slip sideways flaw is not fun.
Right?
But it also means I don't belong anywhere. He looks away.
Just wait till you get to Dublin, kiddo.
I know that's probably how it feels, but I think that you'll find people to fit in with. And we'll be here. All of us.
Yeah. He leans in and just kind of hugs onto his mom.
She hugs him tightly.
He's just kind of. This is the most he's hugged her since the death. So.
Yep, this is the most affection they've had since that day, probably.
So yeah, he's kind of just trembling a little bit. And then he kind of looks over at Artem and he extends a hand.
Sasha's gonna do the best she can to wrap her arms around all of her children. Like, come here, group hug.
And then Kai's like, oh, this is a group hug. And then he just kind of like folds his hands in on his chest.
Squeeze. Okay, then she'll let Kai go over to Artem. Shoot.
Well, now that it was a group hug, he doesn't need to give a handshake now.
Oh. Like, fine
never
then.
mind.
Never mind. Oops.
He gives him a slight pat on the back. He's like, that was a hug.
Yeah, I think Sasha probably knows how Artem feels about Lana.
Mm-hmm. She does. She isn't stupid. She'll probably talk to him about it at some point.
Kai has no idea because he hasn't really talked with him long enough. So
Right.
Oh, it's easy to catch on
yeah.
pretty quickly. He constantly stares at her when, he thinks no one's looking.
Oh, okay, then Kai noticed it, like, instantly.
Yeah, he'd pick up on it that his feelings for her go pretty deep. But it is one way.
Very much.
Oh. So yeah, Kai's kind of noticing him staring at her, and then Lana just kind of like talking with him normally without even glancing at him, and he just like looks over at his mom, like, damn.
And Sasha just gives Kai a knowing nod.
And then Kai just kind of looks over at everybody and he's like, so, are we going to
How about
Dublin eating in there, or are we eating and then going to Dublin?
We need to pack. So how about if we go get dinner, we'll pack and then go. We can all Moonbridge because we all have noses. So
Sounds good to me. Artem just gives a little nod.
Sounds like the best idea I've heard in a while. 2 thumbs up.
And I think we could probably go ahead and end the scene with that, huh?
I think so.
So, yeah, and they will do that. We'll pack and then we'll go to Dublin.
Get a place there and another stay. Nobody really knows that they're there yet.
Right. Well, yeah, and Kai can go to the Sept whenever because he's kinfolk. So, but what I imagine what's going to happen is that they'll stay with wherever Lana and Artem are staying until Sasha can find them somewhere. But yeah,
they have a big rental house.
Yes. So we will end the scene there. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We will see you next time. Goodbye.